Welcome back. We continue to track Hurricane Dorian at this hour as it moves west towards Florida, slowly passing over the Bahamas and already leaving behind catastrophic damage.
We're seeing new video from a hurricane hunter flight into the eye of Dorian earlier today. This is from NOAA, and we do want to get right to Hurricane Dorian's track.
But first, let's get to Chief Certified Meteorologist Betty Davis and Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross joining us now with the Weather Authority Center latest on Dorian. Guys, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Well, as of that 11 p.m. advisory, Brian, we did have a few changes we talked about. For one, storm expanding. Winds are now at 180 miles per hour. At its height, it was 185. Pressure now 914 millibars. Still a slow mover heading west at 6 miles per hour as it rakes over Grand Bahama Island.
Yes, we're very fearful for what's happening on Grand Bahama Island right now. With the pressure up just very, very slightly, this is just what you would expect. You can't, the mechanics of a hurricane just can't be sustained continuously. So the energy gets redistributed, the storm gets a little bigger, the pressure comes up. There are changes, structural changes like that, but still this is an incredibly strong storm. And the bigger storm actually makes more storm surge. So yes, the winds are down a little bit, but wider storm makes more storm surge. So there is absolutely nothing good going on with Dorian here. There's the radar, and there you see it coming right over Grand Bahama. But then these bands, and of course you have them in the forecast.
Right, those are going to get to us as it gets closer. We've already had the downpours today. The bands wrapping all the way down toward Andros Island, and just all a part of Dorian.
Right, and each band, as you go closer to the center there, will get a little stronger as Dorian comes closer to the coast. And Dorian's not going to make some kind of beeline for Miami-Dade or Broward County, but it's going to come closer to us. And that's why the winds are forecast to pick up here tomorrow. There's that satellite picture. Watch, we go back and watch it come right over Marsh Harbor there. And now it's like it's just trying to hit every possible piece of populated land in the northwestern Bahamas, because it's coming right down the spine of Grand Bahama Island. Of course, right in here is Freeport, which is the biggest city on Grand Bahama.
Just amazing.
And they are going to get it. So this is a
lot going on.
A color fest here, but it tells the story. So first of all, let's go through the watches and warnings here.
Okay, so we have a tropical storm watch going for Broward County. And then once you head up into Palm Beach County, that yellow, that's the tropical storm warning. And then north of there, the hurricane warning's going on. So this is going to get close enough such that tropical storm force winds are possible for Broward, but farther up, it gets more intense.
Right. It's expected to be more intense the further up. Okay. Now, here are the tropical storm force winds. The center of the storm is way over there. Okay, so what we're going to look at is how they impact us. These are all the hurricane force gusts and winds right there. Here we go forward in time and look at this a day from now, tomorrow evening, tropical storm force winds into the northeastern part of Broward County. Just in there, hurricane force winds way offshore, but look at this, right on the Palm Beach County coast, up into Martin County there. Now go another day forward in time. The hurricane is lifting north, but look at this, hurricane force gusts are forecast, and if it shifts a little bit this way, they'll get even more. Brevard County on up toward Volusia County and points north all the way to the Georgia border, where they have hurricane watches in effect because of this track just parallel right along and just offshore of Florida if it stays right on track. But of course, we don't know that it's not going to deviate just a little bit.
And just a reminder, tropical storm force winds about 40 miles per hour or greater, hurricane force winds 74 or 75 miles per hour or greater.
Okay, so here's the cone in the short term, and look at this. Here we are tonight. Here we are tomorrow evening. It's taking that amount of time to get across the Grand Bahama Island. It's just unbelievable. And then, as we mentioned, finally lifting north Tuesday morning, but it's taking until Tuesday evening really to completely clear the Bahamas. It's just horrendous, really. And then on farther north.
It will go. And still that question as to how close it's going to be, which you just explained with the winds, but even beyond that point, up around the Georgia, Carolina coast, mid-Atlantic coast, still that question mark for them.
Yes, and it's a very vulnerable coast, and they've had a lot of problems with hurricanes, like Hurricane Matthew just recently. All right, this is yet another color fest here, but this will tell you what's going on at the beach. So here's Broward, here's Miami-Dade, and the colors here, the brighter the colors, the more red, that's energy that the hurricane is putting in the water. And ignore that part over there. That's just because the model really starts in the middle of Grand Bahama Island. But what's important, there's Grand Bahama Island, and here's the hurricane up here, right? It's coming across, it's actually coming across Grand Bahama like this, and it's blowing wind like this. So any wind that it blows, water that it blows south, this is all about the water, it gets blocked by Grand Bahama Island, except in the little gap between West Palm and Grand Bahama. So that energy from the storm is pushing the water south, and it's pushing it against the Gulf Stream. So when these two forces come together, the water goes up dramatically. So now watch the reds come down as we go forward in time. Here we go. Here comes the red. So now we're tomorrow morning. Here it comes. Look at that. Tomorrow afternoon, that's the energy from the hurricane being pushed down over the Gulf Stream, and then the waves really come up. So it's really it's amazing. And you can see the Bahamas blocking the energy. It's amazing that's how we're protected from having big waves here in Dade and Broward, and that continues all the way into Tuesday.
So no boating,
Right.
it just won't be happening. The seas are going to be really dangerous. with
Well,
that
and
wave action
dangerous,
offshore.
yes. And,
Yeah.
and what, as far as a local effect, in Broward, if you remember Hurricane Sandy, in Broward County there at the beach, part of A1A was washed out with a similar sort of flow. Now, Sandy was a little farther to the east, but it was a huge hurricane, so it was pushing water like this. So this creates a scouring motion on the beaches. So we'll see exactly how how this storm reacts, and now they've rebuilt A1A, and we'll see. But this is not good for our beaches, because this is a tremendous amount of energy trying to push south against the Gulf Stream, and just as they say, a very confused sea is what's going to happen there. And then because of that, that all raises the water, and so we have the possibility of some storm surge in Broward, 1 to 3 feet, and we call this the reasonable worst case.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but I think it's important to explain what that means. It's not really the forecast. We're not saying there's going to be 3 feet. We're saying there could be. Right.
Worst case scenario.
Kind of worst case scenario.
That's the stress there.
Right. That's the idea, though. But people need to be aware that it could happen. Right. A little bit of movement of the storm, a little size increase in the storm, and it could happen. But to the north, this is where we have the threat. This is where we have the evacuation orders. So it's mostly to our north, but we're going to be on the fringe of it, and tomorrow is the day.
All right. Thank you, Betty and Brian. And we